Awaiting the Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship in association with Black Horse. This could be a wicked race. At the moment, Adam Jenkinson has a 19-point advantage in the championship over Hudson Kenner. Tommy Aquino, after that blistering victory at Cadwell Park, the American is third ahead of Victor Cox. Philip Backlund, back on form, back on pole position, ahead of Tristan Palmer's Ducati, Lee Jackson's BMW, then Dan Johnson, Joe Burns and Steve Brogan on their three Kawasaki's, rounding out that top 10 ahead of Peter Ward, David Johnson, Josh Day, Luke Quigley, James East, Kawasaki's all. James Storer back down from Perth in Scotland on his BMW ahead of John McGuinness, Marshall Neal, Josh Wainwright and John O'Howarth. And the starting grid, look at this, it's a spectacular one because Philip Backlund has put himself on pole position ahead of Victor Cox and Joe Burns, also back in the mix. Jimmy Storer on the second row ahead of Hudson Kenner after that unfortunate ECU failure that prevented him racing at Cadwell Park. And then Jess Traylor suddenly popping up out of nowhere and sticking himself on the second row of the grid, the lad from Dunmow in Essex. Adam Jenkinson, championship leader, a few front-end problems at Cadwell and again this weekend is on the third row of the grid, but unconcerned ahead of Lee Jackson and Josh Elliott. David Johnson on the Four Angels Racing Kawasaki ahead of the Rapido Sport Racing Ducati of Tristan Palmer and Honda's Lee Johnston. So that is the lineup here of what could turn out to be a pretty epic race. Incidentally, Joshie Elliott got penalised a couple of places, three places on the grid for disobeying rules down the pit lane during qualifying, but still, nonetheless, the young Ulsterman's in 9th place on the grid. This really is a topsy-turvy grid because there's some great drivers, great riders back down on rows 6, 7 and 8. What a race in prospect. The 1000cc National Superstock Championship surges off the line here at Donington Park. Kawasaki's as ever to the fore, but Hudson Kenner, who seemed really confident when I spoke to him yesterday after his failure to even get onto the start line at Cadwell Park, bursts to the front, makes an absolutely brilliant start. The South African on the Homer Racing Leonic Balance Link Cell Kawasaki leads the surge down through Craner curves ahead of Victor Cox. Philip Backlund off pole, Joe Burns fourth, Jenkinson gets a storming start from the third row of the grid on the SMT Racing Kawasaki. The championship leader has burst through into 5th place, 4th even.
Yeah, and we also saw in that first corner, you saw Tristan Palmer. Tristan Palmer was on the dirt out there. It's a big old field and got squeezed on space and he was out in the dirt, so he's right back in the pack there.
So terrific start, these howling thousands now breaking down the Dunlop Straight and then hitting the brakes, of course, to descend into the Fogarty S's and flicking it left and then right. Jenkinson down in 7th place. There's one of the Four Angels bikes. I think that was the number 10 bike of Joshie Elliott. Although it's his teammate David Johnson who scored a win so far. The two Kawasaki's fencing with Philip Backlund trying to find a way inside Victor Cox. Someone wants desperately wide down at the bottom of the hill there. As once again we have this battle going on between these two Kawasaki's, knocking lumps out of one another here as they come round at the left-hander. Joe Burns running 4th. And as they burst across the line, Kenner, Cox, Backlund, Burns, Jenkinson, Jackson, Storer, Lee Johnston, David Johnson, Jess Traylor got a bad start but is running 10th. Ahead of Josh Day, Luke Quigley, Tristan Palmer's down in 13th on bike number 33. And then Tommy Aquino 14th after his victory and the thing is that Aquino, he was really dismayed at qualifying back on the 7th row of the grid, but he was only 0.9 of a second off pole position. This is a tight class.
It is a tight class. You see the two Kawasaki teammates, Philip Backlund there, making the move. He's been climbing all over Victor Cox. He can see Hudson Kenner getting away in the lead there, so he had to make a move. It was quite tight there, but he'd been looking around the outside and trying a lot of things, and be interesting to see how quickly he can gap him because Hudson Kenner doing a very good job there. And also Joe Burns just tucking on the back. It's the first time we've seen Joe Burns for a while. You know, obviously Joe Burns, big 50-point reduction in the championship when he wouldn't let him strip his bike. So, you know, we haven't seen him for a while, and then here he is back in, he would actually be in 3rd position if it wasn't for that penalty.
And the young Geordie looking very strong on bike number 53. Joe Burns from Newcastle on the JG Speed Fit Kawasaki. drops down the hill. So Victor Cox well sideways, third place man in the championship last year. And still SMT Racing's Adam Jenkinson not finding the pace we expected from him. They had some, he was actually running with bent forks at Cadwell Park, they found afterwards, which is why he really struggled. And he seems to be getting pushed back down the field a bit here. Let's check them across the line. As they come across the line now, he's definitely lost out to Jimmy's. No, it's Lee Jackson who's in there. Jackson's in there. Johnston Jenkinson, 7th. He could lose his championship lead if he keeps on reversing like this.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a 19-point lead over Hudson Kenner at the moment. If Hudson Kenner, got these 25, and obviously, he's in 7th, so it would definitely, he would still be leading it, but only just.
Fastest lap of the race, 1:32.559. Philip Backlund running in 7th place. There's number 11, Adam Jenkinson. He's now got the Four Angels Racing distinctive kind of old Gulf Oils colours there of number 20, David Johnson, the Thruxton winner, all over his back wheel. So Jenkinson not running comfortably at the moment. Whatever they thought they'd sorted out this weekend after a troubled start. Remember, these guys, like all the other classes, suffered a complete washout on Friday, so they lost a lot of dry track time then. Joe Burns is bothering Victor Cox, the tall Wiltshireman there, running just ahead of him on the ILR Racing Kawasaki. That's Ian Locker Racing, the great legend of TT Racing, who's just retired after 30 years of competitive life.
Now the Swedish rider Philip Backlund there, who qualified on pole and is moving up in 2nd. He's set the fast lap, as you say, on that last lap, and again that's a nice lap. Look at him just backing in. Joe Burns also slips up the inside into 3rd, so just gets ahead of Victor Cox there. But I was just saying, Backlund started the season really strong. A 2nd, had a 3rd in the first few races, then seems to look at Victor Cox coming straight back up. He might run wide here. Joe Burns will just square it off up the inside, and there's going to be a race down here to Redgate, but looks like he's held that. But yeah, just saying, Philip Backlund, then he sort of had just a few mediocre races these last few races, so it's really nice to see him sort of come back, the young Swede, and he looks like he's on really good form here. The fastest lap in that last lap was actually Hudson Kenner, so 1:32.3 there for Hudson Kenner, but also Backlund also did a 1:32.3.
So it's actually shavings between the 1st and 2nd place men as we watch the battle between Victor Cox and Joel Burns. Do you know, I've got a theory about that, actually. Philip Backlund, as we check out Hudson Kenner's fastest lap, he's been brought up on European circuits since he was a 12-year-old doing mini motos across Europe. So he's used to these wider open tracks. He's struggled a bit round Cadwell Park, round Alton Park. He's got to this place and suddenly he's been right back on song again.
Yeah, I mean, I'll buy into a little bit of that, but you've got to be
That was only my theory, James. I wouldn't want you to hold me to it. Incidentally, Jenkins has lost another place.
Yeah,
he's
nice.
back down to 9th place, and as I say, if he keeps on hemorrhaging places like this, it could be a real problem. There's number 33, Tristan Palmer, former race winner in this class. The championship positions as they stand, look at this. Jenkinson has had his lead reduced to 1 single point by Hudson Kenner, if Kenner can hang on for this 25 points that he's got at the moment in the lead.
I can't understand Jenkinson as well. He's it's just again, he's been very, very consistent. Just the one crash at Brands. Cadwell was disappointing. We now know that he had as you say, one of the fork legs was bent. It wasn't. It was sticking, which is really hard to do. Actually,
one of the Four Angels bikes. I think it's Josh Elliott. No, it's David Johnson. David Johnson, the Thruxton winner's in trouble. The 30-year-old Australian now just carves his way around the inside of the circuit, trying to keep out of the way of the opposition. He's out of the race. Yeah. And it's no good thrashing. It's no good smashing your screen, mate. Yeah. You've got to. They should make him pay for that.
So look at that, right in front of pit lane as well. So obviously he's very frustrated there, but
what you don't do, you don't wreck your bike because it's broken down on you. No. At the front, Hudson Kenner, South Africa, 2nd place, Philip Backlund, Sweden, 3rd place, Victor Cox, Wiltshire, 4th place, Joel Burns, Newcastle upon Tyne, man.
This is him checking out. It looks like it's maybe a gear lever problem. Watch his screen bang.
Well, we'll cast a veil over that, David. Such a genial lad. No, meanwhile, number 81's entered the pits. That's James Egan in the MWR Kawasaki, the South African who rode so strongly in the Triumph Triple Challenge last year. Now Philip Backlund is edging in on the leader, Hudson Kenner. Yeah, he is. Set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. There you go. Look at that, 1:32.2. And looking back in there, he just cost himself a 10th or 2. But actually he managed to come back to the line. Hudson Kenner just doing his thing at the moment. There's only fractions between them, and that's why he's not taking a big lump out of him. But we're at 3rd race distance, 5 laps out of 15.
So, but here he comes. You can really see him. You can see it in his body language as well. He's getting his head tucked in. Hudson Kenner, incidentally, doesn't really tuck in that much, does he? You know his style. He's got quite a sort of... He's a bit more upright on the bike when he's in tuck. If you look at his head.
He's quick out of Goddard's, those, James. He opened up to a 6/10 of a lead from nothing as they came out of Goddard's then. Joe Burns there chasing Victor Cox.
And that's another fastest lap of the race there. So he's done 3 fastest laps in the race in a row. Philip Backlund, a 1:32.0. So we're on the edge of breaking into the 31s there.
And there's definitely summing up with Jenkinson. He's lapping exactly a second off the pace of these two guys, which simply wouldn't be normally in the books. But he is hanging on to that 9th place ahead of the newcomer to this class, Jess Traylor, who
done a great job.
Startled us with his second row qualification. Ahead of Tristan Palmer, and then Peter Ward is in 12th. Tommy Aquino has pushed his way into the points ahead of Danny Johnson in 14th and Joshie Elliott in 15th.
Yeah, Tommy Aquino up to 3rd in the championship. Obviously won last time out, got us a 3rd at Alton, a 2nd at Brands. He's had that run of podiums, but he thought he had a dodgy tyre in his qualifying session. Couldn't quite get it working out, and it's so tight in this class. The top 20 was separated by 1 second, so you really had to have your wits about you to get up there. And you see Victor Cox backing it in.
Well, Jeff Cross, fabled former team manager of the Yamaha Grand Prix team, was saying that who's helped bring Tommy Aquino over, said losing that really filthy wet Friday was a major problem for these lads to get. It meant they only had a very quick session before they were into qualifying, and then that was it, all done and dusted until their race. We've got a faller in the background there, a bike being pushed away, or perhaps it's a technical issue, as the field comes streaming across the line. There is a faller. Who is that who's gone down?
That's a Melbourne loop, by the looks of it.
I think it's number 2, Josh Day, on the B. Weiser Kawasaki, the Cirencester lad who's gone down. Yes, it is. And you're right, it's the Melbourne loop, James. Just a simple little front-ender. Yep. That must be exasperating when you do that at 30 miles an hour.
Well, just with the rules where you can't pick it up again, because something like that bike would be pretty much okay.
Hudson Keller still at the front. 2nd place, right behind him there, Philip Backlund. Kenner, a former runner-up in the British Supersport Championship for Raceways Yamaha back in 2008.
Keep an eye on Philip Backlund there in 2nd spot. I think he might go up the inside here.
Kenner will be very aware of how close Backlund is, but Kenner late on the brakes, comfortable into the Fogarty S's.
Oh, a bit of a mistake there from Philip Backlund as well. And another one, he's trying very hard. You saw him he had the back wheel come around a fraction too much against the S's.
If Hudson could hang on to this, and of course he's got half the race to do it yet, he would be level on points with Adam Jenkinson. That's how much difference this race could make.
Yeah, it's really Jenkinson's. These last 2 races have really hurt him. But then again, also Hudson Kenner, let's not forget, his ECU failure on the start line at Cadwell Park, cost him big style, but Jenkinson couldn't quite make the most of that.
Adams only had 2 wins, he's been consistent, but only 2 victories, which means Hudson would, if he were to win this, that would be 3 wins, and therefore, of course, that would be a tie decider if they went all the way level on points. Here we are looking back at Jess Traylor. What a ride by him. Tristan Palmer has got past Adam Jenkins as well. Jenkinson's 11th on bike number 11. He is really struggling. He is losing his championship lead right here and now. He's now back in 11th place with Peter Ward, his next threat to him. And it's a bit of a mystery, what's happening with number 11, Adam Jenkinson. This is not the way that the former Mancunian, the Cheshire-based landscape gardener would be expected to go.
No, it's not, and it's just, especially for his championship. When I spoke to him yesterday, he was hoping for sort of good things here, especially after finding out what the problem was at Cadwell Park when he was a little bit off colour.
The next man up, number 32, of course, is IDAC Motorsports' Peter Ward, the team that is now has the dare I say, fatherly eye of Colin Wright being cast upon it. Peter Ward on the IDAC Kawasaki from Rugeley in Staffordshire, a great centre of motocross excellence. Is there running right behind Adam Jenkinson, and behind him, Tommy Aquino there on that blue and yellow WD-40 machine. Aquino coming into the reckoning, still running 13th, but now very close and making a move inside Peter Ward down the hill in the Melbourne loop.
You also saw Palmer juddering into there. You could just see that last bit. It was quite tight, quite a defensive line. And here comes Peter Ward. Ward up the inside there.
Oh, Jenkinson's in real trouble. I beg your pardon. It was Aquino wasn't trying to get past. It was number 10, Joshie Elliott, making a strong move back underneath him. And as we watch now, Jess Trailer get done by Tristan Palmer after Palmer's early excursion onto the grass.
Yeah, Palmer's another guy. He's run 2 races so far this year. Palmer, he's looked very, very strong since he's got on that bike. He's also had a third, and yeah, he looked on for possibly another podium last week, well, 2 weeks ago at Cowboy Park, until he was knocked off. Fastest lap of the race that lap,
Victor Cox.
Victor Cox.
An almost flat 132.056 then for the total Wiltshireman on the ILR Racing Kawasaki, and he is cementing that 3rd place at the moment. We've had a fall at number 23, Kyle Wilkes from Southampton on the Bournemouth Racing Kawasaki has gone down. That was at Goddard's.
And also at the front.
And look at this, Josh Elliott is now challenging Adam Jenkinson. It's going to get slightly worse for Jenko. It's a good job that he's got a couple of rounds left yet to deal with this, because of course they won't be racing at Assen. Just 2 more races after this one. So Hudson Kenner, should he take the championship lead, is choosing a good time to do it, James.
He is indeed, and you know, definitely, because at the moment as well they're queuing up behind Jenkinson. You can see Tommy Aquino as well. You know, he's been the man who's most informed these last few races. He's slowly moving in. So, you know, but Jenkinson, he can just, again, it's hard to know. Obviously, when you're watching him here, there's nothing obvious. Is he not gelled? Is he not like his setting? Oh, this is going to be a little tight at Goddard's. But it's not going to want that's not what he's going to want for his championship. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to ride and get the best you can on a bad day, and that's what he's got to do today. He's got to dig in, work hard. Look at that, up the inside goes Elliott. It's another place lost, so he's in the move back now to well, to 13th.
13th. Unlucky for some. Philip Backlund's new lap record, 132.034, right on the back wheel of Hudson Kenner. So what is going to transpire here? This is an entertaining battle. South Africa versus Sweden. Southern Africa versus Northern Europe. Philip Backlund, Hudson Kenner, of course, who was the 2 lads who'd simply cut their teeth on motocross in their pre-teenage years in South Africa and in Sweden, respectively. And then both progressed early into road racing, into mini motos and junior road racing. In fact, Hudson was a regional and South African 50cc road racing champion as a 13-year-old.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Victor Cox as well in 3rd spot. Look at that, Victor Cox is really close from Backlund, backing it in there again. He's done that every lap. But Victor Cox has really close back in on these leads. Lovely little slide coming out there. The man in 2nd spot, Philip Backlund, just kept it lit, slid it, just turned around that last bit of the turn. Gorgeous bit of riding. He's in maybe a fraction hot there.
Victor Cox there, number 28. Could it be that the man, it looks to me as if the man who finished 3rd in the championship last year is beginning to rediscover his form. He finally got a podium. He did win at Alton Park. Whoops-a-daisy. Where are we going? Oh, I thought he was going to demolish the...
I tell you what, you do not, yeah, that is when you go at the top of the Craners there, where he went on at Hollywood. That's like 130, 140 miles an hour, so a little bit of a squeaky moment for him there.
That was James White from Reading on the team After Dark Kawasaki. By the lights almost went out on you there, James. And this is number 3, Hudson Kenner, still riding a brilliant, just, well, a kind of rearguard action, if you like. He's riding smoothly, he's riding at lap record pace, and he's just managing to thwart Philip Backlund. Philip's extravagant riding style just occasionally seems to cost him time, James.
Yeah, I mean...
I like it. It looks great. Yeah. Look at him. Look at him. Yeah, eating up the curb at the Coppice.
Yeah, he's got it quite hard as well. You can see on the rear he has quite a hard setup. It's not maybe as forgiving. But Hudson Kenner's just been soaking up the pressure. You know, he's doing a great job. He knows it's important for the championship, but he's just been hitting all the marks, just like Alex Lowe's did in the Superbikes, really. He's just led, you know, pretty much every lap and just keeps in his mark. It makes it very difficult to make a pass. He's also his bike looks a little bit better on these last couple of turns to me. He just looks like he's got a slightly harder front setup, and his bike looks a bit more balanced. You can see Philip Backlund's really backs in and just sort of rotates around the headstock a little bit. So it just looks like he's a little bit better. Whereas once you come down Craners, I think Backlund looks a little bit stronger than Hudson Kenner. 2 parts of the track.
Hudson Kenner, number 3, is onto the 12th lap of 15 in this race. I shouldn't imagine that he advertises his nickname of the Grub when he's acting as a finance advisor in banking, which is what he's doing at the moment. Lives in Ashby de la Zouch, just a mile up the road from the Mackenzie household. dropping down the hill, swooping through Craner curves, but look at this, Backlund looks for the line underneath and he grabs it as they go into the old hairpin, and that's a crucial move from the point of view of the balance of the championship. Jenkinson is back into 12th place, he's retaken that place from Jess Traylor, so Jenkinson fighting for those vital points in his battle for the title lead against number 3 Hudson Kenner.
Yeah, it was a nice move. He'd set that up. You know, we knew he was strong in that part of the circuit, and it's a classic going up the inside of the old hairpin. It's fast, and now he's going to try. Look at that, just a little bit of adjustment on the throttle there. Lovely as he exits onto that back straight, and he's already put a few tenths into Hudson Kenner there. It's going to be interesting to see what Kenner can do. This is the move. As he flicks left, he just runs it a little bit wider and just gets on the brakes a fraction later here. It's very tight, and you can see Hudson Kenner sees him there, gives him a little bit of room, doesn't run wide. It's a good move.
Irishman Cody Nally on the H&N Racing Kawasaki has gone down at Goddard's, another faller at Goddard's, as we watch the new leader, Philip Backlund. Now, Hudson Kenner, is he going to be able to stay close enough to take a look at what Backlund's doing and see if he can respond? Well, Victor Cox a bit wide there at Goddard's, cost himself a fraction of time. On to the 13th of 15 laps. 3 laps to go. The sun comes out once again on this lovely late summer's day here at Donington Park.
Yeah, so they just backed off the lap times a fraction on that lap. They sort of dropped to, well, it's the first 33 that we've seen Hudson there. That dropped to 133 flat, 132.6 for Backlund. And, you know, you can see he's just trying to break him now. He's waited, he spent all race just doing his thing, slowly getting him in, and now he's got a bit of room in front. And this is, as a rider, this is exactly what you do. You get in front now, and when you've made that move, then you absolutely try and nail it perfectly for a couple of laps, see if you can break that man behind and then demoralise him a bit. And that's what Philip Backlund's trying to do, but whether or not he can do it or yet remains to be seen.
And Adam Jenkinson has crept back into the lead because of that move and because he's retaken. No, he's not. He's lost out to Traylor again on that last lap. He's back to 13th, but he's still got a 2-point advantage in the championship, with Philip Backlund on 105 points running in 3rd place. Backlund, the race leader, 49 on the ILR Racing Kawasaki, ahead of Hudson Kenner. And behind this trio, with Cox there, the 3rd man in picture, we've got Joe Burns, Lee Jackson, Jamie Storer, Lee Johnston, Luke Quigley now 8th, 9th Tristan Palmer, 10th Peter Ward, 11th Josh Elliott, 12th Jess Traylor, 13th for Adam Jenkinson, 14th Dan Johnson, 15th Tommy Aquino, and 16th for Steve Brogan, who's been having a despairing weekend, really. He's been at his happiest when he's been nursing his lovely little baby son, to be honest. Josh Wainwright in 17th place. So there's names, good names, right back to the top 20. In 20th place, Johnny Blackshaw on the Accident Solicitors Kawasaki.
Oh, little slide there from Backlund. He does have that thing really, you can see, really rigid. It's a very edgy bike, the way he's got that thing set, and he's pushing that tyre. He's very happy with it. But Hudson Kenner also, he is not giving up on this. You can tell he is absolute. This is the best bit on the circuit for Philip Backlund through this section, where it's all a bit more open, a bit more flowy. And then you see Hudson Kenner starts to build and get it back, and he's a little bit better at the loop. So we're on the penultimate lap. There's a lot of places to pass at Donington Park as well. It's a great circuit for racing, for passing, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity.
It's a fascinating contest between the 23-year-old Swede at the front, the 32-year-old South African Hudson Kenner behind him. One of them, of course, British-based and has been for a long time, Hudson Kenner. But the guy ahead of him flies in and out from Sweden for every round of this championship. Both of them banging the curb on the inside of the Fogarty S's.
Yeah, I'll tell you what as well, we can see Hudson Kenner just taking the more...
Always looking keen to get past at that point.
But these top 4 as well, Cox in 3rd, he's having a great ride, and Joe Burns in 4th. Yeah, they are miles ahead. They're like, you know, they've got a massive gap then, over 7 seconds to the battle from behind. They really have broken away, this leading 4, and obviously these 2 even more so. Bit wide there, that's cost him a tenth or 2. So this is going to be the start of the last lap, Jack.
Into the final lap, number 49, Philip Backlund on the ILR Racing Kawasaki. Number 3, Hudson Kenner. Take a deep breath. The Holber Racing Leonic Balance Lynxel Kawasaki, the red and white machine running 2nd. And then the 2nd ILR Racing Kawasaki in 3rd. But look how fast that man, Philip Backlund, erupts out of Redgate on the final lap and immediately opens up a half a dozen bike-length lead over the South African Kenner.
Oh, that's going to be hard to get. They match each other exactly on the last lap, and that is a gap that's going to be quite hard to get back. He's going to have to hope he misses an apex, and he puts in a perfect lap. Someone's off there. That's Daniel Johnson, I think, is it? No. It is Daniel Johnson.
Oh, Dan Johnson, who has pushed himself into the points, has gone down. Aquino benefits and moves to 14th. Brogan benefits and moves into the points in 15th. On the final lap then of this tense 1000cc National Superstock race, with Philip Backlund at the front. But Hudson Kenner, having done everything he can to wheedle back the advantage. Look at him on the brakes. How strong is that? Now, if he can get a good run through the Fogarty S's, then he can have another look as they drop down the hill towards the Melbourne hairpin.
And he's going to have a look. He's having up the inside. He's going to go for the apex. He might go wide. Philip Backlund's going to try and hook it up the inside.
Oh, but they almost kissed tyres. And it's Hudson Kenner who's dramatically grabbed the advantage back. Up the hill now. We can't let him through. He's run wide. Here comes Backlund up the inside. We've seen, but he's not having it. Hudson Kenner carves his way back across the front wheel of the Swedes Kawasaki, and Hudson Kenner takes a dramatic, well-judged victory for his Kawasaki team ahead of a despairing Philip Backlund. Third, Victor Cox. Fourth, Joe Burns. Fifth place there for Lee Bob Jackson. Fifth Lee Bob Jackson. Jimmy Storer, Lee Johnston, 6th and 7th. Luke Quigley crosses the line. Where is Jenkinson? Where did he eventually finish? There's the pink helmet, the distinctive pink helmet of Trailer getting the better of Tristan Palmer. Jenkinson, 13th. That will mean this man, Hudson Kenner, the race winner, is the new championship leader. Great ride by the South African. He judged that simply perfectly. Yeah,
he simply did. It looked like he had too much to do on that last lap, but his bike was definitely better on the brakes, and you saw it. He really closed in, going through the S's, made that move, and then Philip Backlund did his best. This is where he takes the lead. We saw him rehearse it on the lap before, and he doesn't go wide. He absolutely judged it perfect. So there's no opportunity for Backlund to back up the inside. But here, you know, he covered his line, so he was quite tight, forced him to be really tight. And then I just felt Backlund needed to let a fraction of brake off there just to beat him, because Hudson Kenner, very aggressive, as you would. Last lap, last corner, sweeps off his nose. But if he just eased the brakes, the young Swede, he might have just managed to push him wide and then cut it back. But great race, and new championship leader.
Wow. Well, Hudson Kenner, he's taken us all by surprise by obliterating a 17-point advantage there. Hudson Kenner, 19-point even advantage. Hudson Kenner takes the race win by 0.2 of a second from Philip Backlund. Another dramatic conclusion around the Melbourne Loop and Goddard's. Victor Cox, a fine ride from the Wiltshire, his second successive podium finish for the ILR Racing Kawasaki squad. And then in fourth place, number 53, Joe Burns on the JG Speedfit Kawasaki. Fifth place for Lee Jackson on the build-based BMW. Sixth place for the Perthshire Garage owner Jimmy Storer. Ahead of seventh place, Paget's Honda, Lee Johnston. Luke Quigley, Kawasaki 8th. Peter Ward, IDAC Kawasaki 9th. Josh Elliott, Kawasaki in 10th. 11th place for Jess Trailer. What a great comeback to the BSB paddock for the young Essex boy. Ahead of Tristan Palmer. Adam Jenkinson gets a precious 3 points ahead of Tommy Aquino and Steve Brogan. Outside the points, the BYs, Kawasaki of Josh Wainwright, and then West and Simon Andrews, Johnny Blackshaw and Jonathan Lodge round out the top 20. So the championship standings, they make interesting reading. Look how tight this title race is. 3 points in it. Hudson Kenner takes the championship lead from Adam Jenkinson. Victor Cox is in third place, 3 points ahead of Philip Backlund. Fifth place for Tommy Aquino, 1 point clear of Lee Jackson. Tristan Palmer, 7 points further back in seventh, ahead of Joel Burns, Dan Johnson and Peter Ward. 11th place for Steve Brogan, ahead of Luke Quigley and David Johnson. Josh Day, 14th. Jimmy Storer is 15th, ahead of James East, Lee Johnston, John McGuinness, Marshall Neal and Josh Wainwright. This is what the highlights of that race looked like. Brilliant starts for the bright green ILR Racing Kawasaki's, but watch number 3, Hudson Kenner, just weaved his way through majestically from the second row of the grid and took control of the race right from the first turn. Tremendous start, and immediately pulled himself clear, because the ILR Kawasaki's of teammates Philip Backlund and number 28 Victor Cox really rattled one another about until Backlund finally forced a way past the tall Wiltshireman. Joe Burns briefly grabbed third place, but Victor was quickly back in charge of that and got him back on the entrance to Goddard's. And then a problem for a disenchanted David Johnson. The Australian drives out the 4 Angels Racing Kawasaki and shows his displeasure. Number 3, Hudson Kenner, running at the front, but look how hard Philip Backlund was riding right behind him. Number 11, Adam Jenkinson, struggling to maintain places as number 33, Tristan Palmer, got the better of Jess Traylor. Traylor would have him back, though, before the end of the race. Meanwhile, number 49, Philip Backlund at the front. He had a plan, and that plan was this: to run sweepingly wide out of Craner Curves and grab the inside line at the old hairpin. That'll do nicely. But Hudson Kenner wasn't to be outdone. He grabbed the advantage in his strongest point, dropping down the hill into the Melbourne hairpin, and then dragged up the hill, swept out to take the wide line, and very courageously ignored the Swede and just swooped across to the apex to grab himself a race win. And that was his 3rd race win of the season and took him into the championship lead here at Donington Park ahead of Backlund and Cox. Well done, Hudson.
We're here with Victor Cox, 3rd place finisher. Vic, looked like when you were coming around the faster parts of the circuit, you were just losing out very slightly, and that gave you just too much of a gap to make up, but you were fast right up until the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough race, really. I didn't have the great start I wanted, and I seemed to lose a lot of speed for the first corner and down into Craner Curves. They just seemed to sort of pull away a little bit. But I could sort of regain, but I just couldn't get close enough, really. And bit of a shame, but, you know, the team have done a mega job all weekend. We've been at the pointy end, and I, like Kawasaki, done a great job, so it's good to have a 1-3 for the team and Kawasaki, and yeah, it's not really where I want to be, but, you know, we can build off that. So thanks to all my sponsors, you know, Break-In Motors, Ben and Nico, and Phoenix Petitioning, aside from Quillen Vehicle Repairs, and just all the guys who helped me, AM Levers, Knox, and hopefully we can move onwards and upwards and just keep sort of pushing for that top start.
It sounds weird, doesn't it, that we're being negative about a podium when we shouldn't be, of course, because it's still a great podium.
No, definitely. I mean, that's it. You've got to be happy, but, you know, if you're happy for 3rd, you know, it wouldn't be right, really. So I'm really disappointed because I really wanted to win. I felt good for it. I mean, obviously the times are really quick, I think, for the race. I think they're under lap record, maybe. So, you know, 3rd's the way it is. And, you know, we just have to make up for it the next round.
You're absolutely right, of course. The racer wants to be on top of the podium. We'll let you go to the podium. Very well done, Victor Cox there from ILR Kawasaki. Let's have our 2nd place finisher then, Philip Backlund, another ILR rider out there. Well, Philip, those last few corners were incredible. You were diving up the inside, then you were running wide. Take us through it from your point of view.
In the beginning, I was trying to push myself to catch Hudson, and the lap time was good. And then directly when I passed him, I'm thinking I'd push for a gap. And I feel that I overheated the tire, so in the end it was a bit too much, unfortunately, and then opened the door a bit too much in the second last corner, and he come on the inside. We have a good battle all the way through, so it was good, but for sure I'm a racer. I want to win, so yeah, it's pity.
You're a racer, you want to win, you have a fantastic style, and we love seeing the way the bike moves and jigs around underneath it because you have the back set so hard. But what's it like being on the back of this Kawasaki? Is it a good competitive bike from your point of view?
Oh yeah, for sure. Kawasaki is, for the moment, a good package. It's very nice, and the bike is handling good, and for sure the power is enough. So yeah, it's a good package for the moment, for sure.
Definitely a good package. You set a new lap record, 2/10 off it. We'll let you go to the podium. Well done, Philip.
Thank you. I want to say thanks for my team and my sponsors.
Well done. Philip Backlund will go off to the podium, and for my money, one of the best styles out there, especially with the way he's got that